Hello again and welcome to our series of podcasts looking at small business trends in Australia. Once again, I'm joined by Mark Deere-Jones from Panasonic and Charles Agee from Telstra Business. Well, today we're going to be looking at business partnerships, what makes a good one, how to make them last. Gentlemen, you've both been in business partnerships for a long time. What are some tips for some businesses who might be just starting out?
I think if we go back to basics, one of the reasons that we need to look at partnerships is because of the growing need of customers who want more of an end-to-end solution. They don't just want a single part of the solution, they want an end-to-end solution where they can have a single point of contact. And of course, as a small business, it can be difficult to provide that total solution. So to meet the customer's needs, you're going to have to partner with maybe one or even two people who can provide that solution. So understanding your customer is looking for more than just what you can provide is probably the first step.
Absolutely, and the thing I would add to that, Rod, is there has to be a connection, a relationship. It's probably the best way of describing it. A relationship between the two partners, particularly as a small business. So much is based on a relationship. You need to be able to feel as if with that partner that you can trust that partner, that you have a lot of shared experiences or perhaps even a shared approach to how business is conducted. Nothing is worse than getting into a partnership only to find that the other side doesn't seem to want to act with the same urgencies or needs that you might have.
But talk to any small business person and they say their biggest obstacle always is time. If you push for time, how do you make the time, I guess, to find out who's the right fit?
Well, I think it's part of their overall business plan. If they've decided that they need to offer something that their customer is looking for and that is outside of their scope, they have to do their homework, they have to do their research, and they have to look for the right partner. And I agree entirely with what Charles says. It's not just cultural fit, but you've got to look at, do they have the same values? Do they have the same service and ability to provide professionalism that you do? And in fact, that's probably one of the greatest challenges, is finding someone who is the right fit.
It certainly is. And, you know, even though the relationship may seem strong, you know, the other bit of advice, Mark, I would provide is make sure that you actually have a written view of the service levels that are expected between each one. The best intentions can often go to the wayside when an emergency arises. You certainly want to make sure that you have a written or contractual even understanding of what the service levels are and the expectations are between the two parties.
Well, that's all well and good, but what happens when you're in a partnership and you start to see things going off the rails a little? What happens when things go bad?
Well, I agree with Charles where he says you've got to have a contractual arrangement, and I think the most important thing though is setting the level of expectation and also having agreed KPIs or measurements on a regular period that are reviewed together, because in that way often it can be a matter of opinion whether you're delivering what you say you were going to deliver, and it's key that you have these important measures to look at. Once you've done that and you take some corrective action, quite frankly, if it's not working, do not continue with it. You have to get out as quickly as possible because it's your reputation, your brand, even your business that could be at risk.
And isn't it interesting how so much can go wonky, if you want to use that term as an example, because of a lack of communication. When you start to notice things going off the rail, there is nothing better than a sit down. What's going on? How's the business working? Are we both getting what we need out of this business partnership? Are the win-wins apparent, and are they still delivering? Often you'll find that when a partnership does break down, it's simply because one side is not getting what they needed. There's no substitute for communication, Rod.
Well, Mark, Charles, thanks for joining us again today. In our next segment, we're going to be talking to a small business about how they put partnerships into practice. Clyde Campbell builds robots here in Australia for assembly lines. You probably didn't even think it happened here in Australia. We're going to find out how partnerships have contributed to the success of his business. I hope you can join me again then.